Live from the Channel 4 studios in Boston, WBZ News at 11 starts right now.
Breaking right now at 11, chaos at a local mall. A man on a deadly stabbing spree.
State police say the attacker crashed into the Macy's at the Silver City Galleria in Taunton, then stabbed 2 more people.
An off-duty sheriff's deputy at that mall ended up shooting the assailant, killing him. The attacker and 2 of his victims are dead, and the question tonight is, what was the motive here?
We have live team coverage, including the frightening accounts from witnesses to the conditions of the surviving victims. We want to start with Julie Lonchek, who is live at that mall. Julie?
Lisa, David, there are multiple crime scenes tonight, including the Galleria, where tonight the suspect's car is still jetting from outside the Macy's. He crashed his car through the store after stabbing 2 people at a home 3 miles away. Once inside the mall, the suspect went into the Bertucci's and stabbed at least 4 people before he was eventually shot by an off-duty officer. Tonight, 2 of the victims are dead, including an 80-year-old woman from inside the home and a 56-year-old man from inside that restaurant.
They had their guns drawn out and stuff. K-9s were out.
We all heard a loud noise and a bunch of people running, and state police just had us lock the kids in the store and lockdown.
Witnesses both inside and outside the Silver City Galleria Mall in Taunton described the initial moments of chaos.
We saw the cars just dove right in.
Around 7 o'clock Tuesday, state police say this black Honda crashed through the Macy's entrance.
It honestly happened the fastest thing.
Moments later, 2 people inside the mall were stabbed. The suspect, police say, was shot inside the mall by an off-duty officer.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Earlier, in a related crime, authorities say 2 additional people were stabbed inside a home on Myrick Street, and police believe the same suspect was involved in a crash on the same street prior to the stabbings at the home. Late tonight, we've learned that suspect has died, as have 2 of the victims.
I used to come here growing up all the time. I used to just come here and hang out at the mall, and now I don't even want to come here.
That suspect, we have learned, is 28-year-old Arthur DeRosa. Again, he was shot and killed inside the mall here by an off-duty sheriff. Tonight, 2 people are dead, including an 80-year-old woman, a 56-year-old man, and many more right now are fighting for their lives. We're live in Taunton. Julie Lonchek, WBZ News.
All right, Julie, thank you. Yeah, the district attorney just spoke about this tragedy and again revealed the attacker was 28-year-old Arthur DeRosa.
We want to get to Louisa Moeller, who is now standing by at Taunton Police Headquarters, where that news conference just wrapped up. Louisa?
Well, Lisa, David, that's right. We just heard from the DA as well as the town manager here in Taunton, and they offered prayers for the victims' families and said a little bit more about the timeline of what happened here this evening on Myrick Street and at the mall. And we're going to take a listen to what they had to say.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight at approximately 7 p.m., an individual was involved in a motor vehicle crash on Myrick Street in Taunton, Massachusetts. After the crash, the individual, who has been identified as Arthur DeRosa, 28 of Taunton, exited his vehicle and gained access to a home at 270 Myrick Street in Taunton. Once inside, he stabbed 2 women. Both women were transported to Martin Hospital in Taunton. One of the women has succumbed to her injuries and died at the hospital. She was 80 years old.
Investigators could not tell us much about a motive, but they did praise the bravery and quick action of an off-duty sheriff's deputy who was in the mall and who apparently shot the assailant before he could hurt any more victims. This is certainly an ongoing story we're going to cover. For now, we're live in Taunton. Louisa Moeller, WBZ News. Back to you guys.
Courageous move by the sheriff's deputy there. Thank you, Louisa. Now, I want to give you some video of where this all started. As we mentioned, on Myrick Street there in Taunton, where police say that man, Arthur DeRosa, attacked 2 people.
I want to get to Kate Merrill now, who is live at what is still a very active scene. Kate?
And Lisa, just minutes ago, the car from the Macy's just came back here to this scene, the first scene, on a flatbed truck and was taken down the street. The 2 women live down this street. The 80-year-old who was killed and her daughter both live in the house there. neighbors telling me that they heard that crash. They ran out. They saw a man with a knife come out of their home. These two women are known in this neighborhood. They're very well liked. And neighbors tell me that 80-year-old's name, they're identifying her as Patricia Slavin. A chaotic scene on Myrick Street in Taunton Tuesday night. Crime tape surrounds a home where police say 2 people were stabbed before a stabbing and shooting at the nearby mall.
It's craziness. You don't expect things like this to happen in your neighborhood.
Neighbors tell me it all started when their son heard a loud car crash and ran to help. This banged up red truck was later towed from the scene.
He heard a loud banging, and that's where he ran to go see what was going on. And obviously it was an accident that had happened. So when he went, tried to help, see what he could do, and that's when the guy came out of the house.
That guy, he said, had a knife.
Supposedly saw somebody come out of that house, run down the stairs, and run out into the road. And then he backed away because he saw a knife.
He was holding a knife, the person?
Yes.
Neighbors telling WBZ a woman and her mother live in that home and have for a very long time.
Nice people, never had issues, great people.
For the first time now, we are hearing the radio calls from officers who were outside the mall and responded to the stabbings.
Now take a listen as police describe what was unfolding there at the mall.
A report is an off-duty police officer shot somebody over at Bertucci's. Yes, sir. I need multiple ambulances at Bertucci's. At least 2 buses here. I got multiple stab victims and a victim shot. I need help out here.
Witnesses at the mall have been posting photographs and video on social media throughout the night and describing the mayhem inside both the Macy's and the Bertucci's. Ken McLeod is live with that part of our coverage.
Alex Mace and Jen Bro had just arrived at the mall to get her nails done when they spotted a young girl cowering in the bushes outside Bertucci's.
She wasn't really crying. She was just, you could tell she was scared for her life. She was kind of hiding behind a bush, like with her head down and everything. And we were asking her, like, do you want to get in the car? You know, like, are you okay?
She saw a guy walk in and he like grabbed a chair to like hurt one of the waitresses, and then she saw him stab the waitress.
It wasn't long before the little girl's story was validated by families fleeing the mall in obvious distress.
They were all like kind of crying and like just in a panic. They looked like they were just panicking. They were running to the car, and I heard one of the little girls say, "Unlock it, unlock the car, let's go, let's go."
With his gun drawn, the first arriving officer quickly asked Alex and Jen what they knew and then charged inside.
I heard him yell, "Get on the ground, get on the ground." So I think the guy may have maybe been running through the mall.
Minutes passed and reinforcements with rifles had gone inside when this couple heard what was likely the suspect's encounter with that off-duty sheriff's deputy.
I heard about 5 gunshots pop off, so I looked at her and I said, like, we gotta get out of here.
And get out they did, with the image of that little girl's face stuck in their heads.
I was just kind of like focusing on the little girl, making sure she was okay, and then I was just like really scared for everyone inside, you know what I mean?
When we interviewed Alex and Jen, they did not know that the knife-wielding suspect and 2 of his victims were dead. Now, the little girl had told the couple that her mom was still inside Bertucci's, so that child's frightened face is likely to haunt this young couple for a long, long time.
Live from the Channel 4 studios in Boston, WBZ News at 5 starts right now.
Tonight at 5.
It's beyond comprehension what the man did.
At least 7 people injured, 2 of them killed in a wild rampage.
To this truly hectic scene. It was truly something you wouldn't even script a movie about.
The heroes, an off-duty sheriff's deputy, and a beloved teacher who paid with his life.
I lost a good man. I did. He was a great man.
And tonight we have some breaking news in the deadly attacks in Taunton. The killer's family is now blaming a hospital for not giving Arthur DeRosa the help that they say he needed in the hours before the rampage. I'm David Wade.
I'm Lisa Hughes. The family just spoke outside their home, and we have live team coverage tonight from several scenes in Taunton. We begin with Louisa Muller. Louisa?
Well, Lisa David, the family of Arthur DeRosa, or AJ as they call him, say the father of two simply snapped yesterday, and they cannot explain why. Now, during that statement they gave to the media just a few minutes ago, they described a loving boyfriend, a father to kids ages 3 and 5, and a cousin. And they say that they place a lot of the blame for this, at least in part, on Morton Hospital, where DeRosa was admitted on Monday for psychiatric treatment and was discharged early Tuesday morning. Now, the family made it clear he did not sign himself out. The family says they firmly believe he was crying out for help and should not have been discharged. And yesterday they told me he had suffered from suicidal thoughts and other psychiatric issues for the last few months. However, they say he did not have a specific diagnosis.
It could have been prevented. Definitely. The ambulance picked him up at 5 p.m. on Monday. They discharged him at 4 a.m. on Tuesday. They didn't treat him for what his sickness was or his mental illness. They treated him for something else.
Now, Arthur DeRosa's night started at his child's soccer practice. Something happened at that field that set him off, and investigators say within minutes he was on a deadly crime spree that ended at the Silver City Galleria. Beth Germano joins us live with our continued coverage at the mall. Beth?
Well, the victims here and all throughout this hour-long series of attacks were random, according to authorities, and in the violent path of Arthur DeRosa. From a home invasion to attempted carjackings to crashing his car here, they say there is no rational motive.
This appears to be an irrational series of actions.
And irrational is how the family of 28-year-old Arthur DeRosa describes him lately. The father of two, crashing into this red pickup truck last night, then trying to enter houses here on Myrick Street in Taunton. Authorities say randomly stabbing to death 80-year-old Patricia Slavin with a kitchen knife and injuring her daughter Kathleen. And when he couldn't carjack a getaway vehicle, they say he took his girlfriend's Honda and 4 miles away crashed into the storefront at Macy's at the Galleria Mall.
DeRosa exited his vehicle, ran into Macy's, and physically assaulted at least 3 women inside the store.
And authorities say continued his rampage at nearby Bertucci's, grabbing a knife there. First assaulting a waitress, then stabbing and killing 56-year-old George Heath, who came to her rescue.
He saw the waitress being stabbed, and without concern for his own safety, he intervened and quite possibly saved her life and the lives of others, including his own wife.
It was off-duty Deputy Sheriff James Creed who fired one shot into DeRosa's abdomen to stop the assault. All this as DeRosa's family says he's been depressed and suicidal. Court records reveal a series of violent crimes between 2007 and 2009, most of which were dismissed. But the DA says nothing could have predicted this.
I don't know if I would say it's a pattern of behavior. Again, this conduct is beyond comprehension.
The brother of DeRosa's girlfriend, who is the mother of his children, offered this.
All the victims and stuff, it's just sad for my poor niece and nephew, too.
Investigators say when DeRosa started to attack the waitress inside the Bertucci's, George Heath did not hesitate. But when he jumped into action, DeRosa stabbed him in the head, killing him. Christina Hager is live in Taunton, and Christina, Heath's widow, speaking with us today, very emotional.
Well, David, Rosemary Heath says she wants his picture and the story of his great life to be known. And that's why less than 24 hours after the unimaginable ordeal she survived here, she talked with us about it.
I lost a good man. I did. He was a great man.
What just happened to Rosemary Heath is still sinking in. She and her husband, George Heath, out for Tuesday night pizza at Bertucci's in the Silver City Galleria. They heard a waitress scream.
We realized that she was being stabbed, and she was running towards us. He had the back of her shirt and was still stabbing her. And she looked at me, and I pushed her out of the way and took a chair and swung a chair around to try and get him away. My husband grabbed him. I think he grabbed him around the waist area, I think, trying to keep him so his arm wouldn't go up to stab anybody else. And the guy pulled his hand back and stabbed him in the temple.
George Heath fell to the ground. His wife knelt down beside him. As the rest unfolded at the New Bedford Standard-Times, where he used to work as a graphic designer, the staff covering the news eventually realized they'd lost a friend.
He just had a great perspective, and he was funny and warm.
He left the paper for a job teaching at the Greater New Bedford Voc Tech School.
He was a professional at his craft, and he yearned to teach the kids the love and creativity of visual design.
It is so unfair because he was such a good guy and he didn't stop to think about himself.